What is good, you guys? Welcome back to the Hero Report. Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about free agency, and we're going to be talking about if the Miami Heat have won free agency thus far. Now, I know free agency is not officially over yet, but it basically is. You know, a lot of the big names have already been signed. I think the remaining big names that are left are Kelly Oubre, Dennis Schroeder are the two biggest. Obviously Kawhi, but I think Kawhi is, a shoe-in to go back to the Clippers. But apart from that, not really many, big names on there as far as free agents are concerned. So I'm going to be talking about if the Miami Heat have won free agency so far. So before we get into it, though, let's make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. We are on the road to 1,200. Also, hit up my Twitter if you guys are interested in me talking about Heat basketball, because that's all I do on my Twitter. The link will be in the description and also be the pinned comment. So make sure you guys do not miss that out if you have Twitter. But let's get right into it, man. We're going to be talking about the top contenders for who won free agency and where the Miami Heat stack up, because I don't want to be biased, but it's hard not to notice the amount of moves that were made by the Miami Heat. So the notable moves made by the Miami Heat, obviously extending Jimmy Butler, getting Kyle Lowry in a sign-and-trade, Duncan Robinson, getting him on a new deal, 5-year deal worth $90 million, re-signing Dwayne Dedmon, Max Strus, and Gabe Vincent, as well as Victor Oladipo, and also bringing in PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris thus far. Now the Miami Heat are 12 spots in. They still have a minimum of two spots left that they have to fill out, and a maximum of 3 spots, not including two-way contracts as well. So they still have some work to do to figure out who's going to be there at the back end of their roster, but the big name free agents have been already signed by the Heat. Now, where do I think the Heat stack up as far as people who have made moves this free agency? Notable teams that have made moves include the Lakers, include the Chicago Bulls, include the New Orleans Pelicans, including the Phoenix Suns, including the San Antonio Spurs, Dallas Mavericks. A lot of teams made moves. A lot of teams made moves to get better. But overall, I think the Miami Heat were one of the most active teams in free agency. I'm going to give a top 3 of the winners and losers of free agency. And at number 3, I'm going to be putting the Los Angeles Lakers at my top 3 winners of free agency. Now, this does not include the draft day trade of Russell Westbrook. If it did, they would probably be higher. But as far as free agency is just concerned and not the offseason as a whole, I would put the Los Angeles Lakers at 3, because they did not really sign anyone substantial in free agency, but they signed a lot of complementary role players to support their cast in LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis. Notable names include Trevor Ariza, Kendrick Nunn, Wayne Ellington, Malik Monk, Carmelo Anthony, Kent Bazemore, etc. Now, these are the main names that they have brought in. Dwight Howard as well, coming back to the Lakers. I think they did a really, really good job. When looking at this Lakers roster as a whole, we're going to be talking about, the stars, the LeBrons, the ADs, the Westbrooks. When they made the trade for Russell Westbrook, a lot of people were talking about the lack of perimeter shooting on their team. They brought in a lot of guys who can shoot the ball. Malik Monk and Wayne Ellington are really good shooters. Trevor Ariza is a 3-and-D player. They also brought in Kendrick Nunn, who's a respectable shooter from the 3-point line. They also brought in guys like Carmelo Anthony as well. So I like how they fit. I really like how they fit defensively. It may be a struggle because they didn't bring the best defenders in. Apart from Ariza, I don't think anyone on that team that they have brought in. Ariza and Dwight Howard were their biggest defensive free agents acquisitions. But I think they'll be fine with people like Anthony Davis and down low and manning the paint. I would put the Lakers at 3. I think they did a great job supporting their overall star-studded cast in LeBron, AD, and Westbrook. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers make it out of the West again, because they just have a lot of talent. They're gonna have to make it work, and they have to make it fit all together. But the Lakers are a very talented team, and I would not be surprised if we see the Lakers on top of the Western Conference as they were a couple years ago when they won the championship. So that's how I feel about the Los Angeles Lakers. I would put them at 3. At number 2, it's a very tough decision, and as a Heat fan, it pains me, but I'd probably put the Miami Heat at number 2, just because I think the number 1 team has improved so much. If I had an honorable mention, I just wanted to put that out there. It'd probably be the New York Knicks by getting Kemba Walker in. But they did not make the cut for the top 3 in my opinion. So I have the Miami Heat at number 2. Now, as a Heat fan, I love the moves that we made. Obviously, Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, Markieff Morris, Victor Oladipo coming back. I think this was a W. And if you had asked me last year at the deadline, if we can get Kyle Lowry and Victor Oladipo and PJ Tucker on the team without giving up Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson, I would have been here doing backflips. Like, I would have been so ecstatic. And I mean, that's what we did. And the Rockets wanted Duncan Robinson for Victor Oladipo, and the Raptors wanted Tyler Hero at the deadline for Kyle Lowry, and we ended up with both of them without giving up either one of these players. So I think Pat Riley has done an exceptional job in order to get these guys without giving up much. The only assets we have given up thus far in free agency include Goran Dragic and Precious Achiuwa in the sign and trade, as well as losing guys like Trevor Ariza and Kendrick Nunn and potentially Andre Iguodala, depending on where he signs. But apart from that, I don't really see anyone, I don't really see anyone that we have lost that has, made a big impact for us over the last year. Obviously Goran was, he's a Heat legend in my opinion. He's a Heat lifer, but obviously last year was not the best year for him. K Nunn dealt with some inconsistency. Ariza we picked up at the deadline. Precious did not have the greatest rookie season, so I don't think we lost anything substantial, and we did get a lot of upgrades back in return. I love the Kyle Lowry pickup. I just think he fits the mold of this team that we need. A lot of people are talking about his age, but I just don't see him slowing down. He doesn't really rely on his athleticism as much. He relies more on his jump shot. He hasn't, shown signs of slowing down. Obviously, he was dealing with some injuries last year, but even when he played, he looked pretty good. I think Kyle Lowry will come in and make an immediate impact, not only with his play on the court, but his leadership off the court, friendship with Jimmy Butler. He'll make Bam a lot better. I think the thing that Kyle Lowry does for our team, he makes Bam a lot better with his playmaking ability, leadership ability, takes the pressure off of him. So, and the thing about Kyle Lowry is that he allows the Heat to score a lot better in the half court because he has a reliable jump shot. Now, Jimmy Butler, I think, is a better, as far as bucket getter. I'd probably give the ball to Jimmy at the end of the game over Kyle, but as far as, if the shot clock is running down in the half court and you need someone to take a shot, I would probably put the ball in Kyle Lowry's hands because he has a really nice 3-ball and he has a nice, touch as far as shot creation ability is concerned. So I like what the Heat did. Also, bringing in PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris, I think, are underrated signings. PJ Tucker just fits the mold. So does Markieff Morris. Both of them, can be shooters if we need them to be, and one of them is bound to be a consistent shooter for us. I don't know which one it will be, but I'm banking on one of them being a nice stretch 4 next to Bam that we can run in our playoff lineup. And then bringing back Duncan Robinson, I thought was big. I think Duncan Robinson is a lot more important to our team than a lot of people expect. And I just think that he's going to be a big part. He's going to get a lot of easy open shots because of the amount of gravity that Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler will bring to them, and so will Bam. And we have a lot of great playmakers on this team. With the addition of Lowry, you can feed him the ball. And this is no disrespect to Kendrick Nunn, because I think Kendrick Nunn developed here. We developed Kendrick Nunn here, but he's not nearly the playmaker that Kyle Lowry is. And the things that Bam was doing with Kendrick Nunn as his point guard, and the shots that Duncan Robinson was getting with Kendrick Nunn as his point guard, expect Kyle to, increase that output by double or triple, because he is going to come in and be one of the best playmakers on this team. So I'm super excited for Kyle Lowry coming in. I'm super excited that we got these guys, and Victor Oladipo I thought was a low risk, high reward move. I think that him coming back, it's a chance that we were willing to take, but that we should have taken, because it was only for a 1-year minimum. If he comes in and he, if he's back, even if he's like 80% when he's back, at the worst, he's still a very good defender. Even if he's not scoring the ball, you can still plug him in as a nice defensive piece, which he was in the 4 games he played with us. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for the upcoming season. We'll see what happens with the Heat, man. But I'm super stoked for how we perform. I can't wait for the season to start, and also how we fill out the roster at the end. I know we've been hearing some talks about Wesley Matthews. Obviously, Danny Green went back to the Sixers, but he was a player we were looking at. JJ Redick, Kelly Oubre. I expect one of either Wesley Matthews or JJ Redick to be on this team, or maybe even Lou Williams. because I think that those are the three names that the Heat have been looking at. And apart from that, probably UD will be back. And if UD provides another guy who is a dog. And our team is full of dogs, and I love it. So I'll put the Heat at 2, but number 1 has to be in my eyes the Chicago Bulls, man. Even as a Heat fan, I know the Heat and Bulls are, have a little bit of rivalry from the Big Three era and stuff like that. They had their little run over there as well. Obviously, Jimmy came from there. D Wade went there. I think the Bulls did exceptionally well. Obviously, kicked it off with the Lonzo move at the beginning of the deadline. Of the offseason of free agency. Lonzo at 6 o'clock. It was announced that Lonzo Ball is signing with the Bulls, and I think that was a great pickup for 4 years, $85 million. I think that was a steal. I think Lonzo is a $25 million player, and the fact that they got him for just over 20, I think, was a very good pickup for the Chicago Bulls. And then not only that, they brought in a defensive guard in Alex Caruso. So a team that had one of the worst defensive backcourts last year is going to have a major upgrade, both starting and off the bench. You have a guy in Lonzo that can take whatever assignment Zach LaVine has to guard. And then same thing off the bench. If Kobe White is struggling, Alex Caruso is an excellent defender for a guard. So I like what they did there. Obviously brought in DeMar DeRozan. Thaddeus Young, losing Thaddeus Young might have been a little bit, it might take them a little time to adjust, because I thought he was big for them last year with his leadership and also with his play on the court. He had a really underrated season, Thaddeus Young, last year. I think a lot of Bulls fans will agree with me when I say this. I think he had a really nice season last year, but apart from Thaddeus Young and a couple picks, getting in DeMar DeRozan, I don't think, they care that much that they lost those pieces, because DeMar DeRozan undoubtedly makes this team better. Obviously, they'll have to see what they do with Lauri Markkanen. He is restricted, if I'm not mistaken, and they have his bird rights, but I don't know if they'll match any deal. I don't know what their cap situation is looking like, because I'm not a Bulls fan, but we'll see what happens with Lauri Markkanen. But I like the a potential starting lineup of Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, who I love out of FSU, and then Nikola Vucevic, I think, is a great lineup. And then off the bench, you still have a Kobe White, you have Alex Caruso. They just brought in Tony Bradley. You'll see what happens if Lauri Markkanen comes back. I think the Bulls are on the way to becoming a playoff team, and I think the playoffs is the first step for this team. I'm not going to put them as a top 3 or top 4 team in the East. I think they're somewhere in that 5-6 range. I think, top 4, I think, is going to be, in no particular order, the Nets, the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Heat, in no particular order. And then you have your teams like the Hawks and the Bulls. I think the Hawks even might be above the Bulls. I have to put respect on the Hawks because they did just make it to the conference finals. And then you can talk about teams like the Bulls, the Knicks, the Celtics, and then potentially the rest of the teams below them. So I like what the Bulls did. I think the Bulls are the winners of free agency in my eyes, but I think the Heat are second, the Lakers are third. Like I said, if I did have an honorable mention, it would probably be the New York Knicks. I think they had a really nice free agency as well. Obviously, they brought most of their guys back: Nerlens Noel, Taj Gibson, and they also extended Julius Randle. They brought one more guy back. I completely forgot. Derrick Rose. My bad. Derrick Rose. Shout out to D Rose. They brought 3 guys back. Obviously lost Reggie Bullock, but replacing him with an upgrade in Evan Fournier. And then lastly got Kemba Walker for about $8 million, which I think is it's a steal. Kemba, like I said, like with Victor Oladipo, it's a very low risk, high reward situation. Because if Kemba, the thing about Kemba is that it's his knee injury that has been really, really hampering him. And if he can get back to his best, even half of his best, he is still a very competent NBA player. And for $8 million, even the worst of Kemba Walker is worth more than that. So I'm super excited. But yeah, that's going to be my power ranking, tier list as far as who won free agency to me. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Who do you think won free agency to you? I know this is a Heat channel, but every fan is welcome, man. If you guys think a certain team won free agency, and if I didn't mention a certain team, but if you think a team went under the radar, please, let me know down in the comment section below. The most underrated move, in my opinion, was Reggie Bullock to the Mavericks. Come back to this video. As a matter of fact, when he starts lighting it up over there, because he is a great shooter that they can put alongside Luka Doncic. And when he's shooting 40% from 3, come back to this video, because I'm telling you right now, he's gonna go crazy over there. So shout out to the Mavericks for getting in Reggie Bullock. But apart from that, those are my winners. Bulls number 1, Heat number 2, Lakers number 3, honorable mention New York Knicks. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I'll see y'all later as always. Peace.